I was thinking about the reason why people love to be ignorant, why people love being stupid, right? Say ignorance is bliss. And in a nutshell, you think about it, right? And you have to look at it from their perspective. The reason why people love to be ignorant is because ignorance is bliss, but also it's a burden being woke. And when I say woke, I mean really woke. I don't mean the trendy catchphrase woke. I mean really woke. To be awoke and be aware, because that's all it means. To be awoke just means to be aware and be aware of your surroundings. But what the elites have done, the so-called elites, I have to say the so-called elites because they've convinced the world that they are elite. What they've done is they've convinced damn near everyone, not everyone, but damn near everyone, that they are the ruling class and that we should be subservient to them. So because of that, you have the mommy daddy system where the elites get to play the role of the parent and the average Joe Schmo, not just in America but all over the world, act like children, right? They act like children. And it's just like you think about it when you was a child, right? If you saw someone acting older than their age, you would look at them like they're doing something wrong. It's the same thing, right? It's pretty much the same thing. It's like this. It's the same thing today. You see the same thing. Because nobody wants to see the reality. And when you think about it, not even the people that are aware, not even the people that are awoke, they don't really want to see it either. That's why there's so much infighting amongst the so-called, I guess you can say truthers or whatever you want to call it. There's so much infighting because people don't really want to know. What don't they want to know? They don't want to know the truth. People don't want to know that their future is determined by a handful of people, and at any moment they can just shut down their power. At any moment they can shut down their society. At any moment they can just wipe their bank accounts out. And that's what people in Canada experienced during the protests, the Canadian truckers' protests. They experienced that. You experience that with the mandates also. You don't take the pop shot, you don't go to work. People had to lose people lost their jobs. People had to find new jobs, move, locate. Some people just went ahead and took it just so they could continue to work. They may have been halfway through their career and almost ready to retire. The elites knew this. They knew this all ahead of time. So when you think about the ignorant, y'all got to pardon the background noise, I am outside. But when you think about the ignorant, right? When you think about the ignorant, they don't have to be concerned with the same things that you're concerned with. So when you say, why won't these people just wake up? That's why. They don't want to know that they're putting poison in their body. They don't want to know that their vote doesn't count. They don't want to know that they're not in control. Because if they knew they were not in control, then they would have to do something to take back control. And that's where the laziness comes in. That's why we have smartphones. That's why we have lazy boys. That's why we have smart TVs. That's why we have everything smart, because human beings are not smart anymore. Animals are more intelligent than humans. I've seen certain animals walk across the street better than human beings. I'm not exaggerating. They have completely dumbed down society. they've made, through their education system, they've made the intelligent, they've basically done this. They've made ignorance seem or come across as being intelligent. Being ignorant is intelligence now. People that are able to think outside the box and actually think for themselves, you're now a weirdo. You're now a conspiracy theorist. You're now a part of the problem. And remember when you were in school, you know, a lot of teachers, not most, but speaking of which, I think that most of us that are awake now, we were probably problem children, you know, coming up, because instinctively we bucked up against authority, which is no wonder why, you know, I don't know how many years later, for some of us, you know, it could be 20 years later or so, but we bucked against authority, you know, when we were young. So when we get older, it's our instinct, you know, to question authority. We don't just go along just to be going along. You know, if somebody tell us we have to do something, we want to know why. You know, we want to know why. So what the elites and the powers that be have done, especially in America, more than any other country, and I say that because America is more important than any other country, and that may sound, you know, I don't know. Some people may take that the wrong way, but I've traveled all over this world, and no country has ever been more defiant than the United States of America, point blank, period. So anyways, sorry for the background noise. These buses are running like crazy. But back to what I was saying. The United States of America is the country that embraced rebellion, right? So what they did, what the elites and the powers that be did, because all of this was planned years in advance. What they did was they made rebellion, or I should say this, they made obedience seem like it was freedom, right? Being obedient is your freedom. And they flipped it. They flipped everything upside down. I say this all the time. They literally flipped everything upside down, right? That's why the Democrats are calling themselves liberal when they're actually fascists and they're dictators. And we saw that during 2020, 2021, you know, with if you don't take your pop shot, you don't get to go to work. And they were backing that and they were supporting that. Now you see these people saying, my body, my choice when it comes to Roe v. Wade, right? Well, why is that? Because they've been indoctrinated that that's okay to just kill millions, billions of children. Why? Because they're under satanic rule. Right now, you already know this. You already understand it. It's bigger than just women that have been raped having a right to abort their child. We all know that it's all child sacrifice. That it goes back to Baal and Moloch, right? We know that that's what it is. We know that that's what it's really all about. And as a matter of fact, I spoke about this before, but I think it was last year sometime. I believe it was in Texas. The Satanic Church, the Church of Satan, had a protest saying that abortion is their right, or that's not what they said. They said that how did they say it? Oh, they have the right to abortion rituals because abortion is a ritual, okay, to their god Moloch and Baal, and you know, I could say a lot of other things, but I'm trying to see if I can keep this on the net. keep this on the internet. But you know, oh, and that's another thing. Even with the censoring, having to censor your words, they're teaching us and training us, and you have to go along with the program sometimes. But it's just amazing how much things have changed within the past 2 years. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I had no idea. I knew it was a lot of stupid people, and I used to talk about how stupid people were, but I underestimated people's stupidity. I had no idea. That people don't know anything about anything. And even people I thought were fairly intelligent, I thought certain people, knew certain things, or at least they could think for themselves, even if they didn't know, because we're all lacking something. We're all missing something. Nobody knows everything. But it was like a shock to me to see just how willfully ignorant, not just ignorant, but willfully ignorant people were. The idea of let's shut everything down just so we can get the orange man out of the White House. The fact that people went with that, like they're willing to close down their businesses, willing to just lose everything, just for the sake of getting the orange man out of the White House. And that was what the media ran. And whether you support the dude or not, like, your job is your job, your freedom is your freedom. Yeah. I was just amazed. And the fact that 1 minute they were able to say you have to wear a face diaper. You know what a face diaper is? It's a mask. You had to wear a face diaper to stop things from spreading around. And then the next minute they would come on and say, oh, well, it doesn't work. And then they would come back the next week and say, oh, you must put back on your face diaper in order to stop things from spreading around. And I said, well, damn, you act like they didn't just say last week that it doesn't work. And I would get this look on their face. People had this look on their face like they were like in shock that I questioned the so-called experts. And that's when I knew we were in trouble. That's when I knew. I said, oh, we are in some deep-ish. Because I said, if people aren't willing to at least question, even if you don't know, at least question why the powers that be are making you do something, then that means that they can make you do anything. So it was at that point that I realized, this thing is over. Now, that goes back to what I was saying, at the beginning, that people are lazy minded, not so much lazy as getting up and going to work. That too, you have lazy people in that area too, but people are lazy minded and don't want to think because thinking is too much. Why think when you have a phone that can think for you? Why think when you have people on television? Yeah, but who wants to think in 2022? Nobody has to think. Only conspiracy theorists think. So now we're at a point where we have to go, okay, you have to analyze things and really think to yourself, well, what next? Well, I'll tell you what next. They're going to pull some kind of staged event. And it's going to be a big one. Because what they've done, they use the 2020 scare, right? To scare the crap out of everyone, to make them think they were all going to waste away. And with that, they were able to gauge, analyze, and look into the data and see just how many people specifically here in the United States. Forget about the rest of the world. Okay, they're not ready, but they're not worried about the rest of the world because most of these other nations don't have gun laws that the United States have. They don't have the right to bear arms the way that the United States has it. There's other, I think Canada has the right to bear arms or something along those lines, whatever. But the United States is unique in that way. If they could collapse the United States, there goes the rest of the world. That's it. That's all. And they know it. The main target is the United States. Look at what they were doing to Australia. I dare you to go look up Australia during the pandemic and just see how police were manhandling people. They threw not an old woman, but she wasn't old. She was a pregnant woman. Matter of fact, there was a case where they threw an old woman against the ground, but they took a pregnant woman and threw her on the ground, and basically because she wasn't wearing a mask. There was a woman in Ohio that was at a football game. I think it was like her son's junior high football game or something like that. And a police officer she didn't have a mask on. She wasn't sitting around anyone. And that was during the time when they had that great debate about, should you wear a face diaper around anyone or how far is too far and this, that, and the third. How close is too close. So the cop comes and grabs her and snatches her up and yanks her. And I was looking at people on the comment board looking at the video on YouTube, and people were like, oh, she's irresponsible. They were like, oh, she's irresponsible. What about the safety of others? And I said, this place is gone. I'm bringing all of that up to say this. Whenever we have this next false flag, you can't depend on people to be awakened. We need them to be awoke, but we can't depend on that. I mean, I really hate to say it, but it's true. But people are now under the satanic vibration, man. They're under that satanic vibration, and they worship Satan. These people worship Satan. That's why they can go to a rap concert with satanic symbolism all over it and they don't even feel any type of way. I see people riding around with 666 on their license tags all the time. And I look and I say, okay, either these people are just clueless and, they don't believe in the Bible or whatever. But even if you don't believe in it, I would not have that on my damn license plate. There's no way in hell I would ride around with that. And we're not talking about people from other countries who may have different religious beliefs. We're talking about here in the United States of America, especially in the D.C. area. I see it all the time. All the time. And they don't think anything of it. They don't think anything of it because they're under that satanic vibration. Right? And they're not even aware that, there's a spiritual realm. I remember in 2015, I saw this, it was a black dude. He pulled up next to me. He had this 666 on his license plate. And I looked at it and I was like, damn, it was like all sixes. It was like more than just 3 sixes. It was like at least 4 sixes. And I was like, well, damn, bruh. Like I was saying that to myself and he, kind of looked at me and was like, oh, it's just a number. And I was like, no. No. But it's just, again, it's the fact that people are under this vibration and if you're not under it, you're strange to them. Right? Because it's a spiritual thing. They're going to look at you like you're weird. Like, what's wrong with you? You don't worship the same God, and that bothers them. There's something inside of them. It triggers something inside of them. But they don't know what it is. They don't know why they hate you. They don't know why they hate you. They don't know. They really don't know. It could they'll and what they'll do is they'll use other things. Forgive the background noise, but what they'll do is they'll project onto you other things that they're insecure about, whether it be your look, your height, your weight, your income, your clothes, anything, right? And that's done because they're insecure about themselves, and it's a spiritual thing. It's something on the inside of them that feels insecure when you're around. And I'm noticing that a lot of people are like picking up on that, and that happened during the pandemic. Like after the pandemic, people started saying, have you noticed that people just stare at you for no reason? Yeah. I've noticed it my whole life. Okay? And that is a sign right there of the times that we live in now. It's rumored, and I'm not an expert on it, or nor do I believe in it or subscribe to this rule of thought, but it's a belief by some I should say many, that something happened in 2012. I believe CERN powered up their machine, and released all this energy. And I believe as a result, this is what people are saying, that the Mandela effect kicked into high gear and things started changing, and different people started having deja vus, and people also people started seeing the number 11 a lot, or 1111, or just things got amped up as far as I guess you can say from the spiritual realm. And it's also, you can notice that the world got crazier. The world got a lot crazier. A lot of this craziness really started at that time. When you really step back and think about it, it was 2012 on. 2012. And then it really kicked into high gear in 2020 when all of that madness started. And that was all done intentionally. The psychosis, the fear. And people are now suffering from Stockholm syndrome. Because you have to remember, the ruling elites, they often practice what's called the lesser magic. They show you what they're going to do before they do it. And what that does is it lessens the shock, and people acquiesce. People get used to being dominated, and they become less resistant. They become more submissive. Now, the ingenious thing about the way the so-called powers that be, the elites, set this whole thing up, people are more submissive, but they don't even know what they're submissive to, or what they're submitting themselves to. They don't know what follow the science means. They don't understand that it's an anagram. They don't understand that that's code speech for follow Satan. Right? Science and Satanism go hand in hand. But you have to be alive in order to understand that. But these people are dead. Understand that most of the people that you run into contact with, they're dead. Mentally, spiritually, and sometimes even physically. On the inside, they're dead. They can give you more conversation about their favorite football team than they can about what's really happening in the world. When was the last time you spoke to someone outside of, the internet, your internet pals or your whoever it is, whatever social media app you follow where you chat with people when it's a big echo chamber, right? When was the last time you had a conversation with your neighbors or your peers and you actually talked about things that are really happening, that are really important? I bet you haven't. And if you have, you're very fortunate. You're very fortunate. Because I can promise you that on average, most people are able to talk about their favorite sports team or what their favorite singer or rapper or whatever entertainer is doing than they can about what's really going on in the world. You start talking to people about censorship, right? Internet censorship. They don't understand why that's important. They don't understand why internet censorship is an important issue. Trust me, people in China, they are under government rule, right? They have no freedom to religion, no freedom to anything. That's why they can lock them down and tell them they can't leave the house, and they cannot leave the house. There's nothing they can do. Censorship. They're not able to get on Facebook and talk about what we talk about. I'm not even sure if Facebook is allowed over there. Or it used to be a thing where they couldn't get on there or something like that. It may have changed. But even with that, it's like, okay, let's say they do allow them to do it now. But there was a time when they weren't able to do it. So even when, like you think about when they dropped the mandates, everyone celebrates and talking about, yeah, we won. Yeah, but really? Did you really win? Did you really? They were able to make you stop everything for like 2 years. I mean, think about it. And they didn't even have to do much. All they had to do was just threatening you. They didn't even have to do anything. They just threatened you. You know why they didn't have to do anything? Because the idiots and the morons around you are asleep. And they are the foot soldiers of the powers that be. The powers that be use them as their frontline soldiers. Yeah, your friends, your neighbors, your family members, they're in the army of the New World Order. Whether you want to admit that to yourself or not, your loved ones, even your children, your children that sit and watch CNN and MSNBC was telling them it's okay to get a change, right? To change their sexual identity. And, they turn 11, 12 years old and they decide they want to change. And even if you tell them they can't, daddy daycare government is telling them they have the right to do it. And they're seeing this every day on the news. What do you think those children are going to be like when they grow up? Even the ones that are so-called good children now, imagine when they grow up. Imagine the madness that they've picked up along the years from being stuck in the house watching an idiot box full of drag queen story time. You can't even let your children watch Netflix or get on YouTube or anything without seeing this stuff. Yeah, it's true. This world is screwed, man. This world is gone. People say when will the world end? The world is already over. You're just too stupid to realize it. There's no coming back, man. So I speak on this on the day that CERN turns up their energy, and supposedly they're going to take it to levels that they've never taken it before. So some people are worried that the demons are going to be unleashed. That wouldn't be a surprise to me, but as far as I'm concerned, the demons are already unleashed. Forget about CERNs. Think about Big Pharma. Think about the medication and I walk the streets of DC and I see people walking around like you could tell they're on something, and they're not on normal drugs. They're not just crack addicts and dope heads, dope fiends. No, they're on something else. These people are victims of experimental drugs. And this was all happening while we were looking at other things, maybe looking at politics or whatever. The day is going to come when they're going to unleash the beast, man. They're going to unleash the demons, man, for real. We watch the purge. The purge is one of their end goals, man. That's one of their end goals. They've been telling you for the longest time that it's going to be civil unrest. It's going to be civil war. This guy, Tim Pool, he's always talking about civil war this, civil war that. I don't know if he was set up to push that narrative, but whatever. It's probably going to be one. It's probably going to be a civil war because people are stupid. And just because we haven't had one yet, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. People are really stupid. And because you're in your echo chamber, whether you're on Truth Social or Getter or whatever, Gab or what's the other one? Telegram or whatever alternative social media outlet or whatever that you're using, and you hear a big echo chamber, you're sharing all this information with your peers, people that are like-minded, and what happens is you get a false sense of security. You start to feel like everyone is waking up. You're like, I hear these people talking all the time on alternative media. I hear them talking all the time, like on Rumble, on BitChute, on Odyssey, and different places. They're like, yeah, everyone's waking up. Everyone's aware of the New World Order. And I'm like, really? Where do you live? You live in Texas. Oh, yeah, well, of course you can say that. Where do you live? You live in, I don't know, some southern state, Tennessee or somewhere. Yeah, of course you can get that feeling. But trust me, the elites, the powers that be have brainwashed more than enough people. Okay? They're not looking to brainwash everyone. They're just looking to brainwash just enough because they already have the technology. They can make anything look like what they want to make it look. They can make 10,000 people look like 20 million. Just look at the Twitter bots. They can make it seem like everyone is agreeing with the same thing. And what that does is that reinforces in the minds of the sheeple, right? It reinforces in the mind of the sheeple that there's something wrong with you because you're thinking outside of the box or you're disagreeing with the establishment. They're like, well, when I go on Twitter, everyone agrees with me. They don't know that they're talking to a goddamn bot. They don't know that this person that they're having a conversation with is not a person. They don't know that. It never crosses their mind. Because they do no research. Again, doing research requires thinking. And what did I say before? What is it that these people do not want to do? They don't want to have to think. Thinking is a chore. Ignorance is bliss. Thinking is hard. They've made everything smart, and technology is smart, but people are stupid. And it's going to be stupidity that collapses society. Stupidity is the greatest threat to the civilized world.
This is Tomorrow F. Colin, and I want to thank you for walking along this journey with me.